Hello, welcome back. My name's Nicole, and today I'm going to be talking about my TBR vets. And this is something that I've been doing each month of this year so far, where I just go and I look back at things that I basically said I wanted to read in 2022 and look at whether I've read them or unhauled them or if they're still to be read. So this month, the month of May, it's a pretty simple list, which is nice. I have 6 books that I know of that I told the story graph I wanted to read during this month. Like, not that I wanted to read them in May, but that I wanted to read in general. One of the 6 I actually have read, and that is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This was definitely a book that I bought into the booktube hype. I was waiting for booktube to tell me what I should read, what types of things, and not that that was the only thing I was reading, but I was looking for book recommendations and I thought this was the way to go. And there are a lot of people who really like The Goldfinch, and there are some people who really don't like The Goldfinch. I am with the latter. I thought it was okay. I could see how some people could like it a lot more than I did. But honestly, I just thought it was too long and dragged out and that kind of thing. If I can find it, I will put in the description box below a link to the video where I actually do a review that includes The Goldfinch, and you can hear my thoughts about it in more detail there. But that did not work out for me. I have since unhauled it. I do not need to keep that book on my shelf, so hopefully somebody else happily found it and owns it. And I'm just realizing I was wrong. There is a second book that I read, and that would be Tomb of Sand. But the reason I forgot that is that I'm filming this early enough, way early, to the point where I haven't read this yet in real time. But for sure, by the time you see this video, this will have been read. So I did a Barnacle Buddy read earlier this year where we started this book and read it together. And so, yeah, so that is nice to know that I have a second book off of my list. This book was either DNF'd or read and rated, and do I still own it in future me, or did I unhaul it after filming this video? And that brings me to the 4 books that are still on my TBR. So I haven't unhauled any of the 4 books that are remaining. I still own them. I still, in theory, want to read them. And let's see if we can figure out why I haven't read them yet. So the first one I'm going to mention is To Paradise. This is by Hanya Yanagihara, well known for A Little Life. And honestly, I think that's probably why I haven't picked this up yet. I attempted to read A Little Life and I thought the writing was fine, but the characters themselves as the book got going really didn't interest me. And I think I read 50 pages into the book and I was just like, okay, I'm just not relating or caring about these characters. I don't know why, not for any particular reason. I was slightly curious about what else was going to happen in their lives, but they just didn't speak to me. And so I DNF'd it. I have since then decided to give the book another try because people swear it's good. I found a free copy. That's what happened. But we're not talking about that book. We're talking about this book. So knowing that I liked her writing style, you would think I would have picked this up sooner, but I haven't. I think because I just think about how quickly I DNF'd that other book. I honestly also don't even remember what this book is about. So let me reread the back and see if that changes my mind about anything. Yeah, actually that helped a lot. So looking at the back of this, there was no part of me that remembered that this takes place in a alternate version of 1893, in 1993 in Manhattan with an AIDS epidemic, and in 2093 in a world with plagues governed by totalitarian rule. So I'm guessing there must be 3 timelines. And I find it really interesting that one is alternate history. It's making me wonder if the 1993 and the 2093 are alternate histories going from that point forward. That part's not clear from the back, but I'm actually a lot more interested in this book now because I actually really like speculative fiction, and I'm interested in the alternate history. So I think this is probably going to end up showing up on a TBR way sooner than I had anticipated. So I'm glad I've done this. If you've read this book, let me know in the comments what you thought about it, especially if you've also read A Little Life. I think I've only seen one other review of this book because I think it's so different from A Little Life that my guess is that the same people who liked that aren't interested in this. I don't know, but I feel like I never hear anybody talk about this despite how much they talk about A Little Life. We'll see when this gets on, but I'm actually excited about reading it now. Not right now, just in general. I just realized that two of the three other books that I have are falling into a similar category as To Paradise, where they're by authors that I've read before and have just felt kind of meh about the books that I've read of theirs before. So one of the authors I've already mentioned, which is Donna Tartt, because I also own The Secret History. And, I just explained to you how I felt that was like okay and could see why other people liked it, but just wasn't working for me. I was kind of hoping that The Secret History would be different because I know some people who like the Goldfinch really don't like The Secret History and vice versa. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's just that The Secret History is for me. Though I do recall by the end of the Goldfinch, I was like, somehow I'm doubting that because the problems I had with the Goldfinch had nothing to do with the topic that was explored. It had to do with her writing style, which I ultimately found boring after a while. And I had people tell me when I mentioned that in greater length, they're like, yeah, no, you're going to have the same problem in The Secret History because that's just how she writes. That's just how it is. It's not a early versus late type of situation. So also, this is dark academia, and I have learned over the years after having bought this book that that is not my jam. Like, I find it too dark and for no other purpose than the point of being dark. And I know that this is supposed to be like very philosophical in terms of the group that is in here. So I am interested in that, but I don't know if I'm interested in enough to deal with really morally gray, dark characters just being horrible people apparently for the sake of being horrible people. At least that's my understanding of the book. If I'm missing something with that, if it's not as dark as I seem to be thinking or whatever, again, let me know in the comments. And we'll see. We'll see. This is one that I'm still like, meh, I could see it getting unhauled. But what's actually going to happen with all of these books that I haven't read yet, I should mention, they're all going to go into my unicorn jar, so they may be showing up in a future TBR game of mine. It's to increase the likelihood that I at least try them. And if I don't like them, just DNF them and get them off my shelves rather than just having them sit there for another, 4 to 6 years. Okay, the third and final author that I have read from before and like their work but don't love it, and it's starting to get to the point with their work that I'm just like, do I want to read anything else by you, is Barbara Kingsolver. Now, I know people love Barbara Kingsolver's work, and I have a couple of books of hers. I recently read The Lacuna. I think that was the last work of hers that I liked, and I enjoyed a good chunk of it, and then she switched the book partway through, and I really didn't like it. Now, I know that's a less popular work of hers. I think I've heard of only a couple of people who say that that's their favorite work of hers, if even that. I know a lot of people haven't even read that one by her. So I'm hoping with the Poisonwood Bible that I'll be going with one that is more well-known and more popular of hers, that kind of thing. This has actually already come up as a possibility for 2 different TBRs. It's made it onto a pile of possibilities, but I can tell that it's probably waiting to be a have-to read for the month before I get to it. I am interested in this particular book by hers because it is about a missionary family who goes to the Congo in what year? 1959, and the father is really obsessed with this idea and thinks it's going to be great and that they're going to go and change the whole place. And I believe the story is told by the mother as a framing narrative through the voices of her 4 daughters or something like that. So that sounds really interesting to me. And I do like the way, for the most part, that Barbara Kingsolver writes her stories. I know this book is one of her more popular ones that people like more. So I'm hoping the issues that I had with part of the Lacuna don't show up in this book. I'm thinking about it. How likely is that? I don't know, but it is one that should get on a TBR at some point because I know it was in the TBR jar to begin with because it was one that got in there because it's been on so many past TBRs. So we'll see. I feel like it's highly likely to come up, but it hasn't yet. And then I have one last book, and that is The Luminaries. And this is a Booker Prize winner from 2013. And I don't know a lot about this story, but I first became interested in it at a time when I was really interested in the Booker Prize. I have since found that the Booker Prize and I don't get along. I don't tend to like literary fiction that much. It tends to be a very literary fiction heavy prize and the type of literary fiction that I particularly don't like. So it's definitely a me thing. but I'm realizing that the chances of my liking this are slightly slimmer because I don't know that I've actually truly liked any of the winners of the Booker Prize. So we'll see. It is historical fiction as well as literary fiction, I believe. So it has that going for it. It takes place in New Zealand. I think there's like some sort of mystery gold mine type of murder crime thing going on. And it's a long, chunky book. So in theory, there are aspects of this that I could end up really liking. Will that happen? I don't know. I think it's still on my TBR just because it's a longer book. And while I read mammoth books, like I don't read them every single month or anything like that. And I do tend to be thoughtful about when I'm going to put them in and on my TBR. So I think it's just sort of waiting its turn in time, and we'll see when that turn and that time comes, but it's not yet. Okay, that's it. I feel like that was pretty quick this month. So here's the one book that I still own, that I have read, and then here's the 4 that I have left to go. This is a handful of books to hold, so maybe I'll support them here. But this is what I have left to go. We'll see when I get to these next 4. Again, because they're now going to be in my TBR jar or in my unicorn jar, they're more likely to come up, sometime soon. So hopefully that'll happen. I don't know. I feel like the only one that I'm really hoping that will happen soon for is To Paradise. So you'll probably be seeing that sooner than later, because now that I've reread the back, like I'm bumping it up in terms of like, hey, remember this book when I, get to choose what I'm putting on my TBR. So we'll see how soon that comes around, or if any of these other ones get onto my TBR by accident. That's it for now. Again, let me know if you have any thoughts about these books, and let me know, what you have on your TBR that you're looking forward to reading or that you think you might be ignoring for a while. That's it for me, and I'll talk to you next time.